Anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Oh, I'm here in Podcastro Valleyton today. I enjoy doing the show from here because
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I can really use the equipment here and it doesn't stink at my house. My equipment makes me think because it's very basic, and here it's more expensive stuff I'm borrowing for the moment. Is this clear? Is this on? Check. 1, 2, 3.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Drink. Mike Matthews and Mike's Daily Podcast, and
Mike's
this is the end
Daily
of this song.
Podcast.
Almost. Wait, right here.
Yeah!
There we go. It's episode 1109. Wait. 1918. 1918. 1918. So, those numbers are so perfect together, aren't they? 1918. Oh, I like it. I want to tell you something as someone who enjoys people that are cool. Kevin, who's been on this show, Addendum with Kevin, just the coolest guy. He took me out to dinner, me and my lovely lady friend. And I and his lovely lady friend and I enjoyed German food last night. Can I just tell you, it was one of the funnest evenings I have had in a long, long time. Okay, Brian Ferry, that was a fun night watching him perform. Oh, let's see. Slave to love. Oh, there was my little Brian Ferry. Oh, and more than this, you know, there's no thing. But this was such a fun evening, and I really enjoyed it, and I needed it. I needed it because my life, I basically work 7 days a week. I don't know if you know that about me. I am a 7-day-a-week person, and I'm a responsible person. And more responsibility has been thrown on me over the years, and I continue to take it, and I continue to try and do my best.
And here's today's podcast picture.
But occasionally you need to get the hell out of the house. And it's probably why my podcast is not always, let's just say, updated, and that I have had, some podcasts I have missed that I didn't get to do during the week. And I was going to tell you what the podcast picture was, but it's probably going to be a drawing. And I can't tell what it is because I am looking at MikesDailyPodcast.com, and I'm trying to remember what the last podcast, Mike's Daily Podcast Cafe Anyway character was that we represented. And I can't seem to find it. Anyway, MikesDailyPodcast.com, you can see all the past podcast pictures. You can go to past shows. I have something like 434. Oh, Basil. And Basil, guess what, Basil? There are lots of pictures of you at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Yes. Beautiful pictures of you, Basil. But don't bite my arm off, Basil. Aw. The older he gets, the better he sounds. I'm sorry. The more like he's talking. How is that possible? Yes. So he actually went with us. Well, he didn't actually go to the German restaurant I went to last night with Kevin, but he was in the car, and then we walked him around a little bit. And I was talking to someone who has a dog that's like a smaller dog. And they last longer, smaller dogs. It's just, unfortunately, I wish the big dogs could last as long as the small dogs. But, I mean, they can, but it's just not as often. And, well, I talked to a lady today whose little dog, recently she had to take the dog in to get gallstones, I think it was, removed. Gallstone or kidney stones, and they were like the size of marbles, and this poor little dog that's more like a tiny what do you call him, like a Jack Russell sort of mix. Oh, that's gotta suck. But the dog's fine. Oh, what also sucked even more was that the freaking amount of money it cost to do it was somewhere in the close to $2,000. Now, I just like to let you know that thousands of dollars is what it costs to pay for property taxes here in the Bay Area. My house, I have to pay, the property taxes are going to come due basically in about a month or two. The first installment is a little less than $4,000. Yeah. And I live in Podcaster Valley. I don't live in a huge mansion, live in a very basic house, and it costs that much. It's enough to make me want to move. But then I would miss all the wonderful friends that I've made and really cool people like Kevin. But it is enough to make you consider it and to make you go, why, California? Why? Why is it that dang expensive? It makes no sense. Sometimes I just wish I could move back to Alabama. I could go back there. The weather was humid. The prices were more reasonable. But and maybe even was a little less crazy in Alabama, now that I recall. Because, well, we didn't have the crazy traffic. Oh, well, Alabama has the traffic. Yeah, I guess no place has no traffic. It's everywhere. But the people just drive so crazy. And yesterday particularly was pretty bad. And I don't know if it was because of all the power outages we've had lately and the craziness with PG&E. But it was cray-cray the past couple of day. And people just weave in and out of traffic, and it's not good. So all of this to say that I know I'm talking. I'm repeating a story, probably in a previous podcast I've mentioned. There are people that are repeat talkers, that will repeat themselves over and over again. And what do? Do you say, you've already said this. Stop talking. You've already said this story. I had a boss who unfortunately passed away from prostate cancer, which I found recently. I did not know this, but my doctor told me that prostate cancer is actually pretty hard to detect. The tests that they have are not that conclusive. And you pretty much, as we go outside a cafe, anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valleyton. You pretty much have to fight it once you get it. And my boss that I had for many years, who passed away from it, he didn't know about it till he got that. He went to the doctor one day and he was like in stage 4 or something. And unfortunately, he passed away from it. But so the things to remember as I pass along tips that I received from a health professional, and that is that you need to, first off, check in with your family history. If anyone has had prostate cancer issues in the past, you should definitely do whatever test they have that your doctor suggests, because you need to at least check in on it. And my doctor basically said to me, do you know of any family members that had prostate cancer? And I said, I don't know. Let me look into that. She goes, if you do, let me know. And whatever tests that they do have, we will try and pass along to you. But versus fighting colon cancer is a lot more simplified, even though the process of looking up there into your lower intestine, not that pleasant. But yet that is better at detecting colon cancer. And so there you go. This is the doctor stuff that I learned recently this past week. But my boss who passed away, that I had for 11 years, and he used to tell me the same story over and over again. And I don't know if that's good or bad. Part of that is good because then you remember the story because you've heard it so many times. It's been repeated and repeated. For example, he used to tell me all the time about when he was at some Texas university going to school, that he went and saw Rod Serling. Is it the Twilight Zone guy? Submitted for your approval. That guy. he gave a talk at the campus, and he went to see the talk, and he had some friends that lived in a dorm, and he went home, but his friends in the dorm said that Rod Serling showed up at their dorm, and he told them stories like in their dorm. Can you imagine the guy that wrote all the crazy Twilight Zone episodes is talking to you, hanging out at your dorm in college? Now, maybe he was pursuing a college female or something. I don't know what the actual under the surface story was. But you know what? Unfortunately, my boss is no longer with us and I can't ask him. Dang it. Hey, let me ask you about this. Do you know about the whole woke movement? Woke refers to being alert to injustice in society, especially racism. Used in a sentence, we need to stay angry and stay woke. Yes. Let me tell you something about woke. Interesting thing about woke, and that is it does not work on stage with stand-up and comedians. Nothing is more of an affront to comedians than woke. Who will win? The comedians that that took they were everywhere. They propagated? No. Something with a P. Populated? They were in everywhere on the TV channels in the 80s. They were all over the place. 80s and 90s, even recently. Whole network was created for them. HBO aired so many comedy stand-up specials. Now comedians can't do it anymore. Even, what's his face? Oh, Chappelle got into a bunch of trouble for something he said recently. Seinfeld. It's not just old comedians, but particularly older comedians get in hot water over the whole woke movement because people go back and they go back to their early videos or whatever and say, oh my gosh, he said that. Some guy, a comedian, a comedic actor from SNL recently got fired because of something someone found way back when that he said that was looking a little racist towards the Asian community. So, what do you think about the woke movement? Now, I had a very interesting discussion with my lovely lady friend about this. And I said, well, I mean, I understand. I believe in trying to fight injustices in this world. But comedians tell it like it is, or tell it how they see it. And to get the laugh, they sometimes have to say something that's not particularly PC. It goes back to the PC movement, doesn't it? What's politically correct, politically incorrect. You had Bill Maher have a whole show called Politically Incorrect and all that. But, I mean, at what price? Does that mean we kill comedy? After 9/11, there was some idiot that said, irony is dead. Because of 9/11, irony is dead. And if you go on YouTube, you will see Jon Stewart, when they did not do a daily show till I think a couple weeks after 9/11, of course, because the show is taped in New York. And Jon Stewart, a very well-known New York person, I think he's from New Jersey or Boston originally, I forget. But New York is his home, has been his home for a long time. And he, of course, was on The Daily Show for a long time. And he got on the TV and was the most beautiful, poignant thing. And it helped the healing after 9/11 just as much as Paul Simon singing The Boxer after 9/11 on SNL with Rudy Giuliani, who's all up in the news these days because of Trump and everything. But remember, he was the mayor of New York then, of course. Who can forget? Because he's told us over and over again. But there he was with several firemen that had survived and policemen what am I trying to say? Protectors. You know who I'm trying to say. Community protectors. People in uniform on stage on SNL. And Paul Simon singing The Boxer. And I forget if it was Steve Martin or who it was, but came up to Rudy Giuliani, maybe it was Lorne Michaels, and said, shall we do a comedy? Shall we do a show tonight and be funny? And Rudy Giuliani said, well, why start now? It was a little joke, and Rudy got to tell a joke. And that's how they started SNL. Well, Jon Stewart, in bringing back The Daily Show, and he was so moved and torn by those events that happened, 18 years ago. And he said, somebody has claimed that irony is dead. And he goes, why would you say that when comedy is what makes us, that shows us that we have overcome a horrible event of some kind? When we can laugh about it is when we have basically slayed the horrible event, that we've made something, we've put it behind us, and we've overcome, is when we can laugh at it. And Jon Stewart put it so beautifully, and he said, no, we must be strong, and we must be able to laugh at things. That's what makes us human. That's what makes it, they say laughter is the best medicine. It's true. When you laugh, it releases endorphins, and it's so good for you. So why kill comedy is my question to the woke movement. Be careful, woke movement, is what I say to you. And at the same time, remember that, yes, in your alert to injustice in society and racism and everything, be careful of how sensitive you get about it. And particularly, I'm thinking as well about Ellen DeGeneres, Portia de Rossi, going to whatever that game was with George Bush and Laura Bush, and people outraged by it. Like, how dare they sit with George W. Bush, who's responsible for the Iraq War and his stance on gay marriage and everything. And yes, but at the same time, how long do you hold the grudge? At what point can you say, hey, isn't that fantastic? You have a gay couple and you have a heterosexual couple that was very much, it was the figurehead of the Republican Party for many years, sitting together right there, having a great time. And at one point, we would probably not ever think that Ellen DeGeneres and her wife, Portia de Rossi, would be up there sitting with a Christian traditional marriage couple. We wouldn't think that was possible, but there it is, right there for you on display. And is that what about starting the healing? What about thinking about how we can move forward as a society where we're not always dividing ourselves, where we're not always saying, you're on that side, I'm on this side. You're on one side and I'm on the other. Are we divided? Little erasure for you. This time I won't end up another victim of love. I don't want to be. Were they the first gay band? Erasure? Well, Andy Bell was very much outspoken gay man. And he was the lead singer of Erasure. I guess there was the Pet Shop Boys, too. Okay, I don't know. Maybe I don't have the stats on that, but Erasure, great band, and that was their song. Okay, so now I'm going into an 80s chit-chat, which, if I'm going to do that, I have to mention Games People Play, the song by, what's that project? Oh, Alan Parsons Project. Alan Parsons gay, too. Outspoken. Just out of the closet, or however you want to phrase it. He says, I am gay in public. He's not hiding it. Okay, so Alan Parsons had a song called Games People Play. Alan Parsons produced Dark Side of the Moon for Pink Floyd. Games People Play, as I try to wrap up the show, and I know what the podcast picture is, I'm about to tell you, but Games People Play was one of his songs. Cool song, cool rock song, got played on rock radio. They made a TV show called Games People Play, and I had a sudden flashback of that recently. And it's amazing because I don't know. I haven't tried to find it on YouTube. It might be on there. But the game, it was a show it was called Games People Play, and it was different competitions that were sort of out of the ordinary. One of them was a DJ competition. No, not the type where two people are mixing music and one's trying to do better than the other. It was DJs that, like, they would give a DJ, someone who's actually on the radio, just some random words. They'd give it to him or her. Just, bam, here you go. You got to say a sentence that makes sense in 1 minute in 15 seconds, and you're talking up the intro of a song. The song starts playing. You have to talk. You have to be done by the time the vocalist starts singing. And I remember and I wasn't in radio at this point. I was just a kid, and I think it was early. It might have been 80 or 81. It was a really old TV show. And I think about it now, and that's DJs. That's something you have to learn. I don't know if you can't teach anyone this. This is something you just have to learn on your own. I don't know. I've never taken a radio class. I got into radio the way of interning and watching DJs and seeing how they do it and observing. This was back in the 80s. But yeah, Games People Play. I remember this. And they had other bizarre games that different, like maybe like lumberjack sports, where they have to chop up a tree in 5 seconds or whatever. And not that that's dangerous or anything. You know what else is dangerous is some of the people outside a cafe anyway. In fact, this guy right here.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant, and I'm in the podcast picture there.
You are? Yes. Yes, it is Valentino, the parking attendant, everybody. So check it out at MikesDailyPodcast.com. And let's see who else is here.
Hello, my God, this is Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. I never saw that show, Games People Play. It sounds really boring.
It was a great show. And back in the day when I watched endless amounts of television and polluted my mind, I had to watch it. Look who else is here. Oh, Mike, this is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Mike, you probably enjoyed having German food, but that's also a lot of protein. Yes, German food is a lot of protein. I don't think there was a single vegetable. Oh, there was a cabbage involved in the plate that I had. Yes, but German food, very meat-oriented. Oh, there's some other people here.
Hi, Mike. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. Hell yeah, how do it?
It's a Disgruntled Fiddle Player, tell you what.
What?
I don't think I have ever seen this Game People Play show. What, George Bush was at Ellen DeGeneres' house?
No. It was I don't know, maybe they met at her house, and one other person's here.
Oh, Mike, I make the delicious root beer. Have some right now. Oh, boy.
Yes, have the delicious root beer. Thank you. Oktoberfest time. And I was drinking some beers last night, which may explain why this show is particularly crazy today. But yes, MikesDailyPodcast.com, and you can call me 3 + 3 = 6 Daily, 336 Daily. As in Mike Matthews, Daily as in what this podcast has been. Actually, since, so far, past 2 shows, daily. You can also help out the show at MikesDailyPodcast.com. And here's Ariel with more information. Next show, I think the Rodeo Queen and the Disgruntled guy and the Root Beer guy are going to show up again. We'll see. So come back around for that one at this particular spot. But yeah, give me a call, 336 Daily, or you can email me, Ariel, with that information right now.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!